Good morning, church family. It is such a joy to hear voices back in the sanctuary again. I imagine we have folks who are joining us online at home who are also saying hearty good mornings today as well. We are back in person and continuing to also live stream this morning. And my name is Pastor Cody Netland. You're joining us at Moran United Methodist Church on this first Sunday of the season of Lent, and it is a joy to have you with us, whether you're in person or online, whether this is your very first Sunday with us, or whether you've been a part of our church for many, many years. We want you to know that you are a beloved child of God, you belong in God's family, and you belong in our church family here at Moran. If you're joining us in person, I ask that you be sure that you're wearing a face mask and that it covers both your mouth and nose. And we're going to continue for now to refrain from singing live during our services. We're going to continue to be watching how things change over the coming weeks and months as we continue to get back into our practices of worship together in shared space with the realities of the ongoing pandemic, in hopes that things are finally, knock on wood and prayers to God, that things are finally on the road toward some sense of whatever the new normal will be turning out to be. That is both an anxiety of mine, a hope, but also a joy to be stepping into this new season, gathering together here, together in person once again, and continuing to do the things that we have learned to do anew during this season of the pandemic. As we begin today, as I mentioned, today is the first Sunday in the season of Lent, and we begin a new worship series called Drink from the Fountain of Grace. We're going to be exploring the image of the cup that we engage throughout the Old and New Testament and how God speaks to us and calls us into relationship with God and one another through this imagery. Today is also Communion Sunday, and so if you didn't have a chance to pick one up on your way into the sanctuary, we have prepackaged communion elements in little cups. We'll talk more about them as we get to communion a little later in the service. But if you don't have one of these, I invite you to raise your hand, and Dennis will bring one to you. Well, looks like we did it. Everybody has one. Good work, everybody. We've done our first task together, our first challenge of worship together. If you're joining us online, I invite you to gather communion elements in your home, whether that's bread and juice, if you have them available, or crackers and water, whatever it is that you have available to you this morning, to bring those elements and to trust that God will bless them and bless all of us together through Holy Communion together. Beginning this week on Wednesday from 6:15 to 7:30 on Zoom, or on Thursday from 10 to 11:30 in the Disciples Room here at the church, we're going to have our Lenten study series. It's based on this book and DVD series called Witness at the Cross, a beginner's guide to Holy Friday, written by Dr. Amy Jill Levine. And she walks us through Holy Friday and who was there as Jesus went to the cross, as he breathed his last. Looking at the stories of each of the people there, the women, the people who were being crucified with Jesus, those in the crowd, those in the temple, all those different perspectives, bringing them together to experience what it is that this full story of Holy Friday, of Good Friday, has to share with us. As usual, you're not required to have the book, and the videos are available online for those who are joining us for the Wednesday Zoom session. Please watch those videos before you join us on Zoom. If you join us in person on Thursday mornings, we'll be watching the video clips together at the beginning of our study time. A link to the video clips was in your Moran Weekly email earlier this weekend, and I do have 3 copies of the book still available if anybody would like a copy. I think that's all the announcements that I have to share this morning, so I invite you to center yourselves for this time of worship, to plant your feet steadily on the ground before you and under you, to enter into time with God as Debbie leads us in our opening prayer.
Good morning. Will you please join me in the opening prayer? Loving God, we bless your name forever. We have looked deep into our hearts, and you know all about us, and still you love us.